Bill, hello. First off, did you get any rest this offseason?
I did a little bit. I know that I've got rest when I can say this honestly to you. I think I missed you a little bit. So we needed a little separation, but great to see you back at it.
As you get going on this season, I don't know what the main points that you want to take away from the season or what you're hoping for from this season, but I also wanted to ask you maybe what lessons you took away from last season, going through all that.
Well, I think last year was interesting. I think, at the end of the year, we all agreed we took a step with our culture, with our process. And you saw it as a fan when you went to the games. You saw how hard we played, the grit we played with, and our relentlessness not to give up. I think that, even the last game of the season, we're down 4-0, and we come roaring back, fighting, kicking, and screaming, and we're not going to roll over. And that's why I tried to address the group this morning and just say, listen, there's odds are stacked against us. The media, the league looks at us like we're going to take a step back. I said, that's not the case. We've got to take a step forward. And that was my message to the group this morning.
What does that step forward look like?
Well, it has to do with, our players stepping up with the leadership, with a young group. They've got to take ownership of the team. They've got to drive the team. Obviously we've got some changeover in leadership. We were very fortunate last year to take on to Anton Roussel, Stroman, Beagles of the world, the Louis Ericssons. Not only had they won cups before, but they were great leaders in their own right. And they've left the dressing room. Now it's time for our Krauses and our Kellers and our Schmaltzes, to step up and take part and own that leadership and drive the team.
Couple more for me. When you remade the roster this offseason, there were some goals that were obvious. You had stated them that you wanted to acquire more assets. But looking at the roster itself, what were you trying to create with that roster?
Well, we're in the start of the rebuild, so we're obviously trying to take on bad contracts. We've been very honest about that. We were fortunate this year to grab some guys that we liked, that were able to kind of fill some roles that we needed. And I thought, getting Zach Kassian, he's going to add some identity to our team. He's going to add some grit and some toughness, and he's going to get the fans excited about the way that he plays. I think we also acquired Brown on the back end, which we didn't have that hard defenseman to step up and play that tough brand of hockey we're looking for. I think he fits into that role, and just building on that, the Krauses of the world, the Richies of the world, the O'Briens, and adding Jack McBain. We're slowly changing our identity into a gritty, hard-nosed, competitive team. So, and with some size.
Last one from me. We've heard about a couple of the players, like Jacob Chikrin has the wrist injury that he's still rehabbing. I think Maverick is still out. Is that correct?
Yep.
Is everybody else going to be ready for camp?
Well, you hope. I mean, obviously Clayton Keller suffered a bad injury there. 3/4 of the way through the season, and he's made a lot of progress. Hoping to play him in a couple exhibition games. We'll see how he progresses during these days in camp.
Morning, Bill.
Morning.
Just a couple questions from me. You talk about the culture, and it seemed like it was even evident at the rookie tournament this past weekend. What did you see from the rookies, especially those who earned an invite to training camp? What did you take away from that rookie face-off tournament?
Well, I think you can see the future. You got to see a lot of good players come into rookie camp that set the tone. I've been building those teams for close to over 20 years now. That is by far the hardest, most competitive team we've ever put together. There was battle in that team. Our first two games, first against Vegas and then against the Ducks, they were wars. I was proud of our kids by how hard they played, how hard they pushed. And that's what we're looking for in our new identity, our young kids coming through. And you also saw the talent. You've seen the Zubers step up, and he had a great tournament. You've seen the Geekies step up and, make some plays, the Ben McCartneys. the Dylan Gunthers, and we just continue to grow that prospect pool. And it looks good now. When we come back there next year, you're going to see a whole different team, and you're going to see the future of the Coyotes.
Look back at the end of this year, what do you consider a success? Is it a culture thing? Is it Keller Schmaltz taking those next steps? What is it that you would consider a successful season?
It's a good question. For us to have a successful season, it looks different than the Colorado Avalanche and going far and deep into the playoffs. For us, we want to be competitive every single game. We want to make sure our guys bring their A game every single night. We want to be a hard, gritty team that comes to compete in your face hockey every single night when you come watch the Coyotes play. And there's some things internally, obviously, when you go to practice. It's how hard we practice and how hard we train, and it's all the little things that we do, the detail that is part of our culture. And I think Coach has done a nice job of that, of driving that. He puts a lot of responsibility on the players, but we want to take a step forward. There's a million excuses about this year, about the road play, the amount of games that we have. They're excuses for me. We've got to find a way with this group to move forward.
We asked Javier a lot about the Mullet Arena and everything. I know you recently took a tour as well.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the new digs?
Well, it's exciting. I think if you're a fan and you go in there, it's so close to you. I mean, the way it's designed, there's not a bad seat in the house. It's an exciting time for fans. I predict this now, that the fans, because the intimate setting that it's in, when we move to our new rink, they're going to be like, oh, I miss a little bit of that intimacy because it's so big. It is a unique setting. It's a 5,000 seat arena that, there's not a bad seat in the house. And you're going to watch NHL stars come through there, and you're going to watch a Coyotes team that comes in there kicking, scrapping, and fighting every night. It's going to be exciting. Morning.
I asked Javier the same question. Obviously, the Mullet name is a testament to the ASU
Yeah.
fans and family, but what was that like for you to kind of see the way it took off in terms of the hockey Mullet hairstyle connection?
I thought it's actually exciting. Sometimes you hope for things to organically happen, and that's one of the things. The mullet is just it's a hockey haircut. At one time, I actually used to have. I'm not willing to go back there now, but there are some pictures of me at 17 with the mullet, put it that way. So I think at most times, every hockey player has probably had that haircut. So it might come back in. That's a good question. I don't know, but someone will be Googling after, or doing some changes on my haircut now and altering it. So.
Hey, Bill. Danny Carmen, Cronkite News. I have a question about Barrett Hayden signing him the 2-year deal yesterday. What are you looking forward to him this season, and kind of what next step do you think that he can get to in his game?
Yeah, Barrett was a big part. We were happy to get that deal done. Sometimes deals don't get done till there's a deadline. And, obviously his side and his agency, did a good job, and we fought hard to find a nice deal in the middle that made sense for not only him but us on the bridge deal, and it's a good deal for both sides. And Barrett's, he was just someone that, especially at the end of the year, he took huge strides in not only, finding his offense, but playing big minutes on pretty much in every situation. And centermen like that, they're tough to find. So if he can take that next step, that step where he can add in offense and be consistent during the course of the season, not just at the end of the year, but consistently drive the offense and play those type of minutes, he could be a huge piece for us by the end of this.
Thank you.
Goaltending? Well, we're excited about Vejmelka coming back. He had a great season for us last year. He really stepped up. He was kind of the talk of the league. And on the amateur side, which is my background, if you saw an amateur goalie just once in the course of a whole season steal a game, you marked him down as somebody who wanted to draft. This kid stole 10 games for us. He put it on his back, and he literally won games for us. So it's an exciting time to see if he can take that next step. He's going to have a lot of work this year. Hopefully he's a little bit more comfortable in the league. It takes some time to adjust to the size of the rink, but he's going to be our guy we're going to run with, and there's going to be an opening in the backup, and there'll be a competition for it, and we'll see where that goes.